Lieutenant Jerry John Rawlings, and we're continuing to pray for his family and close relatives as well. As you can see, we have live visuals from where he's being laid in state. And today, the general public is also given the opportunity to go file past him and pay their last respect, as well as some government authorities and everyone else. Tomorrow is specifically for the president, the vice president, former presidents and heads of states and other very dignified people. And so if you want to go pay your last respect, you have from now till 6 p.m. to do so. And if you can't, well, you can watch with us right here on TV3. We will bring you all the details that you require.
And just to re-emphasize that COVID-19 protocols will be in full force. So if you don't have a mask, you don't want to get closer to that area. As much as possible, minimize your contact with people you meet out there, and use your hand sanitizers, wash your hands, and show social distancing. The former president also doubled as our former commander-in-chief of the Ghana Armed Forces. In fact, he did that for 2 terms. He also served in the military. So this will be a full military burial with full military honors. And he will be giving the burial of a general, which is rightfully so. And what you see right now, the security service personnel, very senior officers there, you know, and I've seen some colonels and some brigadiers around the area. I've seen some COPs as well in your shot. All of that is happening at the foyer of the Accra International Conference Center. And it's a very solemn morning, if you ask me, because the memories of the former president is coming up. And you just said Dr. Dujemfi and Dr. Tutu Bwine eulogize him and talk about some of the visions that he had, which unfortunately we haven't followed through with it. Pretty much a big problem, if you ask me, that, you know, we start and then we let it go. And the fact that we also don't praise people while they are alive, and we wait until we lose them before we start singing their praises.
You know. I mean, but for the late former president in particular, I think that he still wielded some influence, or you know, some amount of influence with the young people, with the older ones as well. Everybody had a story to tell about him. Whether it was good or bad, there was still something that people had to say about him. And for a lot of young ones like us who had the opportunity to also get close to him and listen to, you know, some stories he would tell and how he felt as a man. You can tell that there was a lot that he was working on to ensure that even when he's gone someday, we will still remember him for some of the good things that he did as well. If you read about his legacies, then you'll understand that he did quite a lot for the country. First of all, thanks to him, we have the 92 Constitution, which has governed us up until now. And so there's a lot that he has done indeed, and we continue to sing his praises. It may not be the same for everyone else, understandably so, but as he's laying in state, of course, all we can do is pray for his soul to find peace and to find rest as well. And so go ahead and continue to eulogize him wherever you are, and forgive him if you can. We have no control over that. It's only God who does. But for many of us, we continue to celebrate his life and legacy. We
will continue to celebrate. And so what you're seeing there, the 2 military men, there's one from the Navy and one from the Ghana Army. They are swapping. They are swapping. What do you call it? Their positions there. They will keep guard over the mortal remains of former president. So what you just saw there is a swap. I think that the naval officer, a colonel, a naval captain, is taking over from the colonel.
The colonel,
okay. So they will be there throughout the period when his body lies down. They will be there. It is mandatory. It's their duty and the honor for them to be there. And they will have the sword, you know, pointing downwards, and their heads will be inclined, you know, bowed.
All through.
Yes, all through. So you can tell that the others are moving away. And it's a beautiful ceremony, but it also sends a lot of memories running through your mind, you know. And I was particularly surprised that a lot of people had a lot of very good and nice things to say about former President Rawlings. I mean, this was a person who was vilified in many aspects. You know, even though agreeably he admits that there are some things that could have been done better.
Yeah.
But you know, people went at him, took a dig at him most of the time, and here we are. You know,
I know.
It's going, and it only brings to mind maybe the best honor we can give to him is to, as Edujemfi said, his discipline.
Yeah.
We need to bring it back. The discipline, the sense of volunteerism, being a very neat person. And Mayor Ajay Soa shares a story with me that when they started a sanitation campaign, they were around the ridge runabout, and something just pushed him that, well, let's go and talk to this man, you know, of the spur of the moment, that be our, ambassador.
Yeah.
They walked in there, they hadn't told him. So he said he asked the media to stay aside, and then he goes in there, has a chat with him. He agrees, says, okay, let's do the media charade.
Yeah.
Just like that, he accepted. That was the kind of person he was, you know. And until you get close to him, you will not have that kind of a mind of him.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I mean, as we continue to talk about his legacies, we have put together a story detailing all of that. And so take a look at the legacy that he left behind.
As a young Air Force officer in his 20s who used to fly across the country, former President Rawlings came face to face with some stark realities across the country. He felt pained knowing that folks in urban areas were so privileged that they were able to flush their toilets with clean water from taps, while those in rural areas drank guinea worm-infested water. This, according to Rawlings, was the main inequalities that endeared him to take political power. As president, he constructed regional hospitals across the entire country. This include regional hospitals at Cape Coast, Ho, Sunyani. He started the expansion project and the renovation of the 37 military hospital. Rawlings also established the cardiothoracic surgery facility and was instrumental in wooing eminent personalities such as Professor Frimpong Boateng to return to Ghana to serve. The Reconstructive Plastic Surgery and Burn Center was also constructed under President Rawlings' watch. He successfully eradicated several preventable diseases such as guinea worm and river blindness. Rawlings is credited for the implementation of value-added tax scheme to finance public expenditure. He instituted the local government structure, a clear, empowering process that has successfully been embraced by all Ghanaians irrespective of political affiliation. For most people who support the NDC, it was because of the former president's effort in rural electrification. He extended electric power to a significant part of residents in rural Ghana who otherwise would have been sleeping in darkness. Prior to the era of Rawlings, traveling from southern Ghana to northern Ghana took days. After major roads were constructed to link most parts of the northern regions to the south half of Ghana, the country became one unified nation, again championed by Rawlings. In Accra, he constructed a 6-lane dual carriage road leading to 4-lane dual carriage from Tetekwashin Interchange to Independence Avenue, Kanda Highway. President Rawlings in 1992 established the Fourth Republic of Ghana, the longest running in the history of this nation, which still endures. Following his constitutional mandated 2 terms serving as president of Ghana, he handed over the flag bearership of the NDC to Professor Mills and the leadership of the nation to President Kufuor in 2001. on education implementation, Rawlings embarked on an educational reform that brought about the standardization of elementary education, such as primary schools, junior secondary school (JSS), and senior secondary school (SSS). Rawlings saw the establishment of one polytechnic institute per region. He established the Ghana Educational Trust Fund (GET Fund), which revolutionized the educational sector and continues to benefit millions of Ghanaians. J.J. Rawlings also established the University of Development Studies in Tamale, of which he used his World Hunger Award Prize money to buy books for the university library. In the area of telecommunication, he liberalized the airways and television stations' ownership to encourage democracy. Rawlings partnered Ghana Telecom with Telecom Malaysia to revolutionize the telecommunication industry with the implementation of about 279,000 fixed phone lines, over hundreds of thousands public payphones, and the inception of the wireless phone industry. On social crisis and resolution, Rawlings saw a smooth integration of hundreds of thousands of Ghanaians expelled from Nigeria in 1983. On foreign policy, Ghana maintained an independent position in its foreign policy. He was instrumental in conflict resolution and peacekeeping efforts under ECOMOG in Liberia, Sierra Leone, and in cooperation with the UN in Lebanon and Israel. Rawlings lobbied fervently to get the illustrious Kofi Annan elected as the Secretary General of the United Nations. On agriculture, before PNDC and shortly after he assumed office, food shortage and famine was prevalent, which became known as the Rawlings chain in 1983. That notwithstanding, aggressive measures were implemented to avert the hunger. Rawlings quite clearly has several legacies, but one that stands out supreme is his charisma and influence, which is unmatched.
And that was put together beautifully by former Sadote Papo, and it's our little token contribution to celebrating the memory and legacy of former President Rawlings. But you have been sending us messages on WhatsApp. Bella has more.
Yes, indeed. And I'll start off with Musa Abattoir from Kumasi. He says, good morning, TV3. J.J. Rawlings, as we all affectionately called him, is an icon in Ghana's democratic system. You cannot take away the fact that he championed poverty, accountability, and social justice. At the time, his courtesies and privileges were withdrawn because of his fight against corruption. This is the man who stood for his country when it was on the verge of collapse due to corruption and nepotism. He'll forever be remembered. May his soul rest in perfect peace. Walanyo from Akutia says, sad one as Africans is that we love the death than the living. We love the dead than the living. We spoke against you and even the things you weren't aware of. Papa J, I'm highly mourning your absence and may you rest well with your maker. Abbas Amogobo from Ofinso says Rawlings should be the one Ghanaians should be celebrating for cleaning the mess in Ghana. Had it not been the effort of Rawlings in the 1980s, corrupt officials would have turned Ghana into Sodom and Gomorrah. Sometimes military government is good for fighting corruption. Rest well, Papa J. We have lost a great statesman. Rest well, Papa J. God richly bless you for your dedication. We will miss you dearly. That's Osman Bukuri Sungu in Tamale. Good morning, Johnny. Former President Jerry John Rawlings was indeed a great leader, patriotic with a great sense of humor, who had Ghana at heart. He always comes too low to feel like an ordinary Ghanaian, to know the realities on the ground. Help in mountain railways, carrying cocoa bags, just to mention a few. We have lost a legend. May his soul rest in perfect peace. That's Sugar Kofi from Ejiso. Good morning, Captain Johnny. I remember the day this great man paid an unexpected visit to my uncle, Honorable Heston Moses Azaglo, on his sickbed at St. Anthony's Hospital in Georgia, who is also in difficult moments this time. May God strengthen this family as they pass through this difficult time. That's from Bafa Michael Oscar. Let's just go on to Twitter and take a look at what people are saying. And we have a photo of the wife of the late former president, Nana Akufo-Addo Rawlings, and it shows here clearly how broken and devastated she is. It says, Nana Akufo-Addo Rawlings in tears at Rawlings's mass service. That was yesterday. And you see her children and family, close family, surrounding her. Must be a very difficult moment for
that's Kimathi,
yes.
Zaneto, Amina, and Yasantua, and also their sister there. So it must be a trying time for her because they were very, very close. I mean, I had the opportunity to interview Nana Akufo-Addo Rawlings when she published her book on this set. And fondly, I had to go to their office about 2, 3, 4 times, the meetings, the conference, before we actually had their conversation. And there was one instance when we were there when Papa J, came around, and you could actually feel the connection that they had even at that old age. So I can imagine, how she'll be feeling now and how the ex-president himself fondly spoke about his wife, saying Nana, and that's what he used to call her, Nana.
Yeah, and, Nana.
Anyway. I pray that the Lord will comfort her and grant her peace in these trying times.
Amen. Now Edwin says, "Hey, so Rawlings died. Hey, unbelievable. Join us here on TV3. A few messages are coming in, and so you can also share with us what your thoughts are on the late former President Jerry John Rawlings. The hashtag is TV3 New Day. Let us know." And, why we didn't get to spend much time with our fathers, Annetta Rawlings explains. And this is, some interview that she granted a while back where she detailed what growing up with her father was like, and the fact that her father was not just her father, but the father of everyone in the nation. And so he had to apportion time for the family and for the nation. And, it was quite difficult, but they still managed to develop a relationship with him. Certified Weirdo says, photos. We also have the First Lady and President, His Excellency Nana Akufo-Addo, a photo there at the Requiem Mass. And so more messages are coming in, and shortly we will take a look at them. But this is also another video. This video will break your heart. R.I.P. Jerry John Rawlings. Let's see if we can just get some sound on there. Okay. All right.
So, okay, go on.
Forever so bright, soldier never dies.
Who will not succeed if the atmospheric climate is not calling for it? I wanted to fly from the age of 6. Honestly. I was standing next to my mother in a compound house when the young man also came along, asked me what I'd like to be when I grow up. And I said I'd like to be a pilot. And bang!
Tribute that someone is paying to the late former president. Kamala is shedding tears. And he says, Rawlings, very tough one. Father Dixon says, that's Nyamisak says one, by the way, says, R.I.P. former President Jerry John Rawlings. And yesterday, the mass was held in his honor. And this is a photo from the Accra International Conference Center. It says, ready for Rawlings's funeral. And I'm sure this is a journalist who took a photo. And yeah, you'll see this if you go through that stretch. His photo is,
This is actually at the conference center. It's a very large photo put up there.
Well, we'll keep reading more messages as we move along. For now, I just see a lot of headlines on, the situation from yesterday. And that, again, is former First Lady Nana Akufo-Addo Rawlings and her family. You see her children there, and she clearly looks broken. Like we said earlier, we're praying for her and her family for strength during these trying times.
A friend of mine, good brother Bill Buglu, sent this to me. He says, well, this is a tribute to a mentor and his father. And he had gone to visit, he said, I'd gone to visit him one fine morning. He asked, have you had breakfast? I responded, yes, Daddy. He said, well, whether you have had breakfast or not, you have breakfast with me. He then told Elik Plim Katahina to bring the favorite cocoa and kose, which we shared. I was humbled, but that didn't end the story. For those who know Chairman Rawlings, as they like to call him now, and as he was called back in the PNDC era, it says, you would know that there were so many chambers in his house. I was in the inner room, the last of the chambers. My brother Julius Kwame was at the reception, and I had left him there until someone drew Papa J's attention to it. I don't know who it was, but it still got to the old man interested enough to go and check who was there. And this is what he told Julius at the reception. He asked, "Is Bill your brother?" Then Julius responded in the affirmative, and Papa J responded, "He is inside my office drinking cocoa and eating kosi. He has left you here alone." And he says, "Well, I will get some rice for you to eat, but don't tell him I told you." Julius laughed, and that's the man we're talking about. Down to earth, full of humor and compassion. And I still have memories of him on my mind, you know, back in the day, growing up as a young man, see him jump into the gutters, you know, and digging out the gutters and sweeping. And I remember occasionally at the Carnation markets where he would come and rally around the market women. You know, we used to go watch him at Reki do horse riding, you know, and stuff like that. There's a certain aura around him that cannot be taken away. You know, that aura, try as you may, try as you would, you cannot take it away from him. And for me, I think that we have lost a giant in our national life. But I'm happy that, you know, we find time to celebrate him. Yesterday was a very beautiful ceremony, post a requiem mass at the Air Force Officers Mess, and because that's his original, you know, wing with the so he was properly eulogized there. I would not be surprised at all to see the planes flying out there. He had a thing for the planes and the jets, and he would, Zaneto says, he would often try, you know, every new craft that comes, he want to try his hands on it. And but he doesn't like to fly with the whole family, because he says that if
you can never tell.
if some die, some must be left to preserve the memory of the family. That's the kind of person
that is
he
indeed
was.
I mean, for me as a child, the memory I have of him, because I never got to meet him till later in my career, but I remember whenever there was a helicopter in the skies, our parents will tell us that's the president flying. So we'll all go out there and look up in the skies, and that was how we saw the president in a helicopter. You could never see his face directly, but we all hoped, well, for a lot of us, we hope that there'll be a day when we won't have to look in the skies to see him, but we'll get to meet him in person. For a lot of young people who may not have gotten the chance to meet him, I guess that is also the memory of the good things that he had done over the years that they would have. But regardless, this is a man whose name is going down in history as one of the greatest men from our soil, and he's definitely worth celebrating.
I had occasion to meet him a couple of times, you know, back in JSS and secondary school as well, because I was part of the team that was marching for my school, SIT March, and you were always enthusiastic and anxious about it. What we call the Aban socks, white socks with some, you know, red, gold, and green liners in them. You would get the muffler, and you would look forward to the meat pie and the egg and the fun ice that you would be giving. And on those occasions, sometimes while he's going through with the IGP and the CDS behind him, he will pause and actually shake hands. In fact, he didn't like to use the vehicle. He sometimes liked to walk through it. I mean, and it was quite exciting. He would give you a firm handshake, you know, randomly, and you feel it. You know, first time I shook his hands, I was surprised that he had very soft palms. I thought I'd be somebody who's always jumping to gutters and digging out things. You know? Yeah, but very, very soft palms there. And I would meet him later when Nelson Mandela died. The South African High Commission here put together a team to do poetry. The late Professor Tuko Khan, I was privileged to be part of a few. And I met him as well. And, you know, usually he put his hand around me and he's backing. Yeah, you're very, very good. And it's a good talent. It's, you know, we'll miss him.
We will.
We'll miss him.
Absolutely.
It's occasional boom as well that he will bring in there.
We will.
But this is our extensive coverage, and we will share with you some more detail. And what you see on your screen is live from the Accra International Conference Center we're paying our last respects to the former president, Jerry John Rawlings, who is going to be with the Lord. His mortal remains lie there now. And we do understand, as is practice, that after all the ceremonies and the church service and the family rites have been done, the military at some point will take over, puts the casket on a gun carriage, as I indicated earlier. You'd have the biglets there, you have the pallbearers there as well. And you will have all the colorful military stuff being done. The 21 gun salute will be done for him. As I said earlier, I expect the Air Force to be out there. This is a man who won the Speedbird Award at the Military Academy, so you can imagine they hold him very dear, and to celebrate him. So keep your tributes coming in, and we will celebrate.
Definitely. We'll be back shortly to play the sermon from yesterday's Mass with Archbishop Palmer Buckle. We'll be back.
I'm feeling very frustrated and bored in Sambu life. I'm very happy. If you don't understand, don't worry, because myself, I don't understand. We'll cross over to our senior reporter for more details.
I'm learning to make a vlog. I'm not funny, I just said. Vodafone, I'm not quite said. Ultimate Sanisika to Topia, Emily to Topia. I got all the network. I will check up there. Me to see Montezo. Diamond fucking.
Fifia, Matero said, don't you put charges man of me?
See, the excitement for me is that I get to save a lot on Vodafone cards.
Sending money on Vodafone cards to all networks is now free. Send any amount of money as many times as you like to all networks for free. Dial *110# now to send money.
Anyone for Massimo.
The future is exciting. Ready?
He wins with one expert.
What about you?
They win with one expert.
What about you?
He wins with one expert.
What about you?
A young cop and his fiancée realizing their lifelong dream together. The daughter of a tycoon, about to launch her dream career, celebrates her birthday with her father. But then, the unexpected happens. The tycoon and the cop's fiancée, framed as lovers. A strange twist of fate brings two opposite worlds together. A series of mysteries will lead them on a road to unravel a web of lies. A breathtaking story of deception, treason, and dark family secrets. Missing diamonds are the clue to surprising revelations. And romance will help them survive. Black Money Love.
Black Money Love premieres Monday 25th January at 8 p.m. and shows Monday to Thursday at 8 p.m. only on TV3.
Water gives life. Water is life. Enjoy the pure, refreshing taste of Awake purified drinking water, which comes in a uniquely designed bottle with a lemon green tap. Water is your perfect way to stay hydrated. And remember, for every bottle you buy, an amount will be donated to the National Cardiothoracic Center, Ghana. Awake purified drinking water, one for life. For bulk purchase, contact 0262 351 251.
This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the FDA.
Breakfast good day, every day.
Nestle, good food, good life.
This advertisement has been vetted in.
Don't forget the balloons.
Check.
The DJ.
Check.
And the drinks.
Listen, honey, I've got this party under control, okay?
Daddy, don't forget our birthday cake with the sparkly candles. Daddy, are you there?
The party's at 4 p.m., honey. Don't be late.
With the all-new CowPay on the CowBank app and website, you don't have to worry about carrying cash. Just place your order with your favorite merchant and pay with a Visa or MasterCard, mobile money or CowBank account, or scan and pay. Visit the Play Store or App Store and download the CowBank app today. CowBank app. Forget to cash.
CowBank. Forward together.
Let me see you make your move. Do it all, do it all, do it all.
But on those days, I compromise it all. Either my skin is sensitive or my back's against the wall.
You can have it all. What? Always brings it all.
Okay.
Get tall with new Always 2-in-1. Feather-like softness overall, even on the wings, girl. And rapid dry channels.
Let me see you make a move. Be it all, do it all, have it all.
Always 2-in-1 feathery soft.
A young cop and his fiancée realizing their lifelong dream together. The daughter of a tycoon, about to launch her dream career, celebrates her birthday with her father. But then, the unexpected happens. The tycoon and the cop's fiancée, framed as lovers. A strange twist of fate brings two opposite worlds together. A series of mysteries will lead them on a road to unravel a web of lies. A breathtaking story of deception, treason, and dark family secrets. Missing diamonds are the clue to surprising revelations. And romance will help them survive. Black Money Love.
Black Money Love premieres Monday 25th January at 8 p.m. and shows Monday to Thursday at 8 p.m. only on TV3.
You're welcome back, and this is the live edition of the 4-day burial rites of the late former President Jerry John Rawlings. It's day 2, and he is being laid in state currently at the Accra International Conference Center, where some dignitaries and the general public will be given the opportunity to file past and pay their last respect to him. And so that's why we're here, of course, updating you on all of that, and also bringing back his legacies, his biography, and everything else that you need to know about the late former president. Now, the 4-day mourning started yesterday with the requiem mass at the Holy Spirit Cathedral at Adabraka. And so we'll be bringing you the sermon that was put out yesterday by Archbishop Palmer Backel. Let's take a look at that.
In Christ Jesus, my dear friends and family of Jerry, this is what the Lord laid on my heart as I reflected on the public life of Jerry John Rawlings and the service he rendered this nation and humanity as a whole. Jerry, in his own way, was always hungry and thirsting for righteousness. Jerry, in his own way, fought for the poor. He longed for the coming of the kingdom of heaven. He worked for justice to be established for the underprivileged, and he could not tolerate the slow pace at which this was coming to birth. Nor could he suffer those who seemingly deliberately thwarted the manifestation of the kingdom of God. Jerry's mantra, probity, accountability, and transparency, was what he tried to see instituted in the Ghanaian body politic. And I testify to the fact that he lived and he died for this. Many of us, though convinced about the need for transparency, probity, and accountability in human discourse and in political intercourse, we could not espouse and appreciate the path Jerry took to execute this program for good governance. Nevertheless, my deepest conviction is that only God will be the best judge of Jerry on the depth and the genuineness of his conviction and faith in God, a truth that only God knows best and can fathom about his son, Jerry John Rawlings. And so I repeat, blessed are they who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they shall be satisfied. Dearly beloved in Christ, I am again deeply convinced that finally and at last, Jerry has come to the full truth he so hungered for. Jerry has now come to understand that which was driving him on, and he has come to realize or even appreciate that he was hungry for the Lord, and how maybe unknowingly he was an instrument in the hand of an omniscient God, and how this all-powerful God was fulfilling history with Jerry as one of his divine.
Well, so that was a part of the sermon that the Most Reverend Gabriel Charles Palmer Backel gave out there and yesterday at the Requiem Mass in honor of the departed president. And it's instructive to mention that our presidents have stuck with their churches.
Yeah.
President Rawlings stuck with the Catholic Church. President Kufuor is with the Anglican Church. You know, you can clearly see President Kufuor is with the Catholic Church as well, and they have stuck with their churches. For me, that's good. That no matter how high you climb and how well you rise, you must stay true to your roots. And
Indeed.
For me, that's great.
And for me, it's the message from the Archbishop that struck me. The fact that for some reason, I mean, the late former president had to do what he had to do because that was the order from God, and history had to be made. And so we may not necessarily agree with a number of things that he may have done or how he went about those things, but just maybe that was how God wanted it, because it was through that process that he was also going to change certain things and probably draw him closer to himself. I do pray that, you know, he along the line knew God or found God and is resting in his bosom, which is the most important thing for any human being on this earth, that you find peace with your Maker.
And remember also that Most Reverend Charles Gabriel Palmer-Buckle, while he was in Accra at the time, was part of the National Reconciliation Commission that former President Kufuor, put together, because there had been that long list and stream of bitterness and pain that the people harbored in their hearts, particularly against the military interventions that, had come in the Rawlings era, the Achampon era, the Afrifa era. People, they had issues. So he was there. Professor Henrietta Mensah Bonsu, now Justice of the Supreme Court, was also there. Justice Amoasechi was there. General Erskine, Anita Erskine's dad was there as well. And two others I forgot immediately, I can't mention. And you needed to listen to some of the things that were said there. And the conclusion in most of the cases was that some of the people did the things on their own volition
and not
without the tacit approval of those who were in charge at the time. But they just took advantage of the situation and then they did what they had to do. But, as a leader as he is, he would accept that, well, because it happened under me, I take the stone and I take the dig for it. But that's it. And not many people have been able to wean themselves of that pain. It's quite a difficult thing, though, especially when the commission made recommendations as to who should be compensated, how much they should be compensated, and all of that.
And that wasn't done.
Some of those things are still hanging at this point, and the pain is there. And for example, Major General Odate Wellington's family, I interviewed his daughter here. Compensation had to be there. He died in the line of duty, and up until now, nobody. And
you see, for a lot of these people as well, I don't think that any form of compensation is going to get rid of the pain that they have felt. I mean, if as a child you saw them molest your father or whoever, family member, and, bring them to nothing, I don't think that any amount is going to take away that pain. And so for some of these people, it will take the willingness to forgive. And at this point where he's gone to be with his maker, I mean, who are we? We're all just humans at the end of the day. And so if the Lord can accept him into his bosom, he knows him best. And if he can, then maybe it's also our responsibility to let go of some of these things. It won't be easy.
It won't be.
But try.
I think that the concept of compensation is not necessarily to, if you like, pay you to forget about what happened.
Understandably,
the larger concept is the wisdom and thinking behind it, that we acknowledge that as a nation we have wronged you, and collectively we're coming to you to say forgive. And if you sat through some of the proceedings, Archbishop Palmer-Buckle, I know Morvi Wahab was also there. I remember the late Morvi Wahab was also there. And for them, I love their posture to bits, where after the lawyers have done the interrogation and everything, they come to you from, a religious end to want to, douse the fire, tone down. And I can say on TV, we saw a lot of people lay down their arrows that they had, But let's connect onto the telephone lines. Many have said that they look alike in some respect. A trainer of soldiers and a consultant as well. Colonel Festus Abuaji is joining us on the telephone lines. Good morning, sir, and permission to carry on, sir.
Good morning, Chief.
How are you, sir? Hello, Colonel. Good morning.
Yes, morning.
Yes, sir. We're eulogizing former President Rawlings. I can imagine you had opportunity to work with him before. What kind of a man was he?
First of all, I don't have the discipline to go into the character of individuals. It's a bit difficult to do that. But when we talk about Rawlings, it's even more difficult because he presents so many complex, dimensions of himself. Some have described him as being controversial. Some have said he was downright, full of conviction somebody who saw a need for something to be done and thought that he could do that. You know. So for me, as an officer who was asked to, accompany him as a ceremonial ADC, both in Ghana and abroad, I saw him sometimes as very humble, somebody who paid attention to details. Many times you found him in a very pensive mood, deeply thinking about issues and not knowing exactly what it was that he was thinking about. I think he was humble, although he might have appeared as a bit aggressive and so on and so forth. He endeared himself to the masses, and it's not very easy for many, even leaders, to be able to arouse, the loyalties and belief in their followers. Rawlings was somebody, as we know, till today, who is admired by the masses. Although, yes, on the other side, he also has some you might call his enemies, definitely some who don't take kindly to some of the excesses of his regime or of his administration. He was quite courageous. He was a nonconformist. And there are only two examples that I think I can give.
I see.
Well, not many Ghanaians know that in the days of ECOMOG, Rawlings flew a bomber all the way from Accra to Liberia.
I see.
Yes, he did not bomb any targets in Liberia, but he landed in Liberia, and his mission was to find out from the troops. This was about 1993-94, when the Akosombo, peace process was underway. So he wanted to find what the views of the ECOMOG troops were, in order that he could inform, the peace process that was taking place here in Accra. There was another time, probably 1999, if I'm not mistaken, when he returned a visit to former President of the United States, Clinton. And part of the program, official program, included a visit to an Air Force base, a U.S. Air Force base that I cannot remember at the moment.
Okay.
And here was a foreign leader in a superpower country who was allowed to go into one of the American, jets to do his own acrobatics in the air. Till today, I've been wondering how the United States of America would allow a foreign leader, to fly, some of their aircraft, and the kind of acrobatics that he was doing. You needed to be there to see exactly what it was.
Right.
Like shooting or going up and coming down, steeply as if he was coming to hit the ground and then level off and so on and so forth.
I see.
There were many times, back here in Ghana when I think it took his own presence to be able to calm the nerves of some of the forces that are being unleashed. And I think he did that marvelously well, although there were times when, as we know, the results were not very, very comfortable for many, many Ghanaians. Even in the field of diplomacy, I think if one reads Roberta Samuel's book, of his account of how Rawlings was able to balance the tensions between Ghana and Nigeria, including Nigeria cutting off oil supply to Ghana about 1982 or 83 or whatever, thereabout, maybe 92 or 93. No, not 92, 82 or 83, and how it took Libya to give Ghana free oil, some millions of, oil, but at a cost.
Okay.
The cost was for Ghana to spread revolution in West Africa.
Mm.
And yet Ghana was there in Liberia trying to, resolve the conflict. Now, how a leader balances of some of these tensions, where Libya wants revolution, and Ghana is now dousing the revolution in Liberia, and his friend, or Ghana's friend, or neighbor, that's Nigeria, also putting Ghana in very awkward circumstances. Remembering that without Ghana's diplomatic closeness to Nigeria, Nigeria would have found it very difficult in Liberia,
right?
Precisely within ECOMO.
I see.
Yes.
He had a great sense of humor, and those are interesting parts of his life that you just shared with us. But we know and have been told many times that he had a great sense of humor. And then you will feel in his voice and his charisma that this is a person who has a lot of energy, vim and verve. You were a ceremonial aide-de-camp to him. Did he ever break down?
Well, he definitely had, but I cannot vividly recall any of them. Remember, if you want to know the role of a ceremonial lady, you look at the Brigadier General Bismarck Owuna, who stands behind the incumbent president.
Right.
You are there on duty, on your legs or on your feet. You are supposed to stand still. You're not even supposed to fidget. So you are there in body, but in spirit you are not part of what is going on there. So if you are at a place where, for instance, President Clinton has visited Ghana and they're having government-to-government meetings, and you happen to have the privilege and the honor of being there as a military officer, you're not part of that meeting. Or you take yourself back to Nigeria, where he returned the visit to Babangida, I think, and they're having government-to-government meetings. So as far as I'm concerned, I was at those events that I was at, including United States, including Ghana, including Nigeria, and so on. But I cannot even remember what it was that they were discussing.
I see.
So that was not the reason why I was there. The reason why I was there was to present myself as a ceremonial ADC,
right?
A symbol of the authority that was reposed in him as a commander-in-chief. So those were the circumstances I found myself in. Sometimes also the hustle and bustle, because the ceremonial ADC has to contend with the close security. You remember the late W1 Tete Forum?
Tete, right, RSM Tete.
So the close security need to have physical contact with the president. The ceremonial ADC also needs to show that he is there. Who takes precedence? Of course, I know now that there was no serious conflict between us.
Right.
But all I'm trying to say is that
you couldn't have
whatever his mood was at these meetings. That was not the reason why I was there.
Great. Let's 30 seconds. What should we remember Jerry Rawlings for or with?
Well, this morning I've been, cycling through a number of the media networks, and there are diverse opinions. Some have tended to compare, contrasting with Kwame Nkrumah, some with the Champong, and they're all right. All the views, all the perspectives are right. But what was the reason why Rawlings came to the political center stage? Was it to rebuild the economy? Was it to create institutions? Was it to change the system as we had come to see it from the fall of Kwame Nkrumah, through the NLC, through the Buzier's administration, the onset of Kutuwe Champon, and so on and so forth. So if one doesn't read the historical narrative, one might probably get it wrong. For me, what Rawlings said to do was not to rebuild the economy. It was to redeem the soul of Ghana's political system, which had gone so low. In a way, again, I've heard people this morning trying to suggest that he regretted some of the things that he did. My understanding of Rawlings' regret was not that he regretted what he did, but he regretted that after all the troubles that all of us went through, that we should find ourselves at a place currently when we've gone back to do those things and even do worse things. That probably was a painful thing to the former president.
I see.
And if we want to remember him, we need to also remind ourselves that, look, politics is not a joke. The sort of things that we saw in Parliament as if, governing a country is I don't know how to describe it.
Okay.
You see,
Colonel, I thank you very much
those
indeed.
were the reasons why I think he came to. And let me make the final point. Again, there's one thing that many of us forget. That at the time that he was coming to the political center stage, there were others who were also planning the same thing that he was planning. The fact, therefore, is that had Rawlings not come to the center stage, other people would have come to the center stage. So the whole question is about the nature of Ghana's politics at any point in time, and whether indeed it was necessary for change to come and how that change was going to come about.
Okay.
At the time, the change could only come about through violence.
Okay.
Or the violent overthrow of the system, because the system was not going to be able to correct.
Colonel, I thank you very much indeed for your time. Grateful for being a good resource to us. And deepest condolences to you as well. I can imagine how close you were and what you're feeling at this point. Thank you, as always, for talking to us. That's Colonel Festus Abuaji, retired. He is a former ceremonial ADC to President Rawlings and has also been very close to him. Yeah, very touching.
Yeah, indeed. Indeed. We'll also be speaking to Dr. Lawrence Tete, who's the president of the Worldwide Miracle Outreach. I believe he's on the line at this point. Well, we'll have to raise him on the line again. But yes, we'll be speaking to some very key people who had the honor of being close to the former president to find out what they also have to say about him as we continue to celebrate his life and legacy. We have on the line Dr. Lawrence Tete. Good morning, Doc.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Now, a number of people have described the life of the former late president as a mystery. Now, you also had the opportunity of having a personal relationship with him. And I believe that sometime in 2017, that was when the Anglican Church of Ghana had appointed you as an honorary canon at the St. Cyprian's Anglican Church. You paid a courtesy call on the former president and he congratulated you. So we can understand the level of relationship you had with him. If you have to describe him and his life, what would you say?
Well, I said that the Rawlings is a phenomenon. And of course, in every society, in everybody's life, you have the good times and your bad times. There was somebody who we needed at the time we got. In every dispensation, I've always said that God gave us a demeanor of a particular leader that befits the dispensation. The Rawlings era, the Kufuor era, the Atamils era, the Jomama era, and certainly the Nanado's era. All of them, their demeanor befits the dispensation we live in. And I want to say, we have to just thank God for one's life
And remember, God used him at the time for a purpose. I don't think God has made a mistake in any of the leaders he gave us in Ghana. If you look at their trace, their lives, and the way they operated, at every given time, we needed a particular leader that will be able to take Ghana forward. And so I think he's made his part. But I keep saying that in life, we don't hold on to pain and grievance anytime. I wrote a book. The title of the book was The Dangers of Offense. Yes, I know a lot of people will be happy about it. And certainly in every human sphere, there will be also people who will not be very comfortable with the way he handled things. So I would say that if there's anybody he has hurt, as a man of God, what I would say is that we should learn to forgive and move on. And remember, we should learn to pick the good side of people and forgive the sides that did not go well.
Now,
I have personally known Papa J from the student task force days. And I wrote a tribute. One of the people who wrote a tribute. And my tribute, I said that he reminds me of Watts of old, who wrote, "We are marching on to Zion, beautiful, beautiful Zion." And I remember one of the days at the Burma camp, I sang this song. And he really enjoyed it. He asked me to write it down for him. And I said, "Papa G, this is not a script book." He never can find it. So I've had time with him. I had the privilege of knowing him, knowing his wife, and knowing his children. And I'm thankful to God that God gave him this many years. I remember when his mother died and we went to visit him, he said something that was very touching. He said he had always wanted not to die before his mother. And I think that was very, very sensitive. And also, so when I realized that not long after the death of his mother, he passed away, I said, look, sometimes the things we wish, that is how things happen.
What's that one thing that you would say you knew about him personally that, you know, the rest of the world never really got to know, but was such an amazing thing about him?
President Rawlings was a people's man. He loved the cheers of these people. He loved the masses. There was somebody who could go to the little one and go to the big one. I remember in the late 70s when he first came, and even the early 80s, well, as we were still students, he could go into the gutters with us and we'd fill the gutters, we'd clean the gutters, and then those are certain memories I have of him. I've never seen a president like that those days that will go into a gutter and be cleaning the gutters with the people. And then, as a matter of fact, he cheered the poor, he cheered the downtrodden. It was the people's man. If you gave him funds, he would lift up his two fists and receive the cheers of the people. And those are the memories I have. But he was also a very bold man. And the mantra of probity and accountability was not just for Ghana. I think most people in the African continent picked it up. It went very well. He's bold, soldier. And then also one of the things I keep saying is that President Rawlings moved Ghana from where he was into what we have today, the Fourth Republic, a democratic dispensation. And I think in all the things he did, we should also thank God for his life. I have this saying that I try to look at the good side of every human being and to be looking at the bad side, because sometimes we allow the bad side to override the good things people do. Certainly in Ghana. Yes, I know that individuals that might have been hurt because of how the 31st December revolution started, how the June 4th uprising started. But certainly there's also people in Ghana today who, but for that system, they wouldn't have been where they are today. And whether we like it or not, in all the political divide, NDC, NPP, CPP, all drank waters from Rawlings factor.
Yeah. You talk about forgiveness, but for a number of people, they may have gone through quite a lot, and it will not be that easy to let go of all the pain. How do we go through this process of forgiving probably the man that may have caused some family so much pain?
The scripture says, if a brother sin against you 7 times in a day, we should learn to forgive them. I think forgiveness is paramount. We have sinned against many people. And so I pray that we also find a place in our heart to forgive people who have sinned against us. It is not easy. Many years ago, I wrote a book by the title, The Dangers of Offense. And the scriptures I used for that book was Luke chapter 17, verse 1 to 5. When Jesus told the apostles to forgive their enemies, in verse 5, the apostles asked, if you want us to forgive our enemies, increase our faith. Certainly, brothers are fighting brothers, friends are fighting friends, enemies, unfortunately, even pastors are fighting pastors. But the most important thing is that let's go back to the scriptures. Be ye angry and sin not. Do not let the sun go down on your wrath. In all the things we do, we have offended people. People have offended us. But let's find a place in our heart to allow the will of God to be made manifest. It says we should not allow profane words proceed out of our mouth. Forgiveness is paramount, and that is why the Holy Book says that we should learn to forgive. My prayer is that we as a people will learn to forgive ourselves so we can move on in life. Because sometimes when we hold on to grievances and pain and offenses, it destroys our own lives. There are a lot of people today who have had heavy hearts, who are sick, who are worried, who are going through brain hemorrhage and a lot of heartaches because they are offended. And my prayer is that anybody who is offended in one way or the other, even beyond President Rawlings' factor, any human being who is offended, may God give them a place in their heart to learn to forgive so they can move on and have their good life.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Dr. Lawrence Tete, for speaking to us this morning, and our condolence to you. Now, he is the president of the Worldwide Miracle Outreach Ministry, and of course he had a personal actually relationship with the late former president, and so it was necessary that we speak to him this morning. He says, forgive, learn to forgive. Johnny.
It's going to be a tough one. I'm happy that he acknowledges that it's going to be a tough one, you know, but at some point, like the lawyers say, litigation must end. At some point, you know, whatever you're grieving over must end. So, well, let's cross over now to the Accra International Conference Center. A man, Komla Adum, and the rest of the team are out there. Komla is leading the pack. We'll talk to Komla on Zoom right now. Komla, good morning, and thank you very much. I can imagine the activity basking out there at the Accra International Conference Center. Hello, Komla. Well, Komla can't seem to hear me. I'm sure we can connect with him. But there you have it. Some groups are already coming in to pay their last respects to the former president. Today will be day 2 of a 4-day funeral plan or program that you would find. And there you have it, filing past the mortal remains of the former president there at the Accra International Conference Center at the foyer. Now you see the guard has been switched. Now it's the Air Force. So we started with the Army and then the cortege. So this is what we call the cortege. The Army first, and then the Navy came, and then now it's the Air Force. So they will do that rotational plan, and they will be there for all the 4 days, you know, standing right by the cops. And
unbelievable. I can't believe
unbelievable that we're paying.
The same man.
Yeah, same man.
So vocal.
Printed in our minds.
Yeah.
You know, he was there. I mean, you'd go to a public function and you see him, and there's some bit of excitement that comes to you because you know he's going to do something or say something that will inspire, you know, something. You know, if he's not singing with the band, he's doing kolomashi with the Jama people, or he's making a speech, or he's eating with somebody, or he's teaching somebody how to do some kokonte. So he's so full of life and everything. And I can't believe that he's gone. I mean, you know,
silent. We're never going to hear his voice again.
Yeah, a part of us is gone, and we must accept it the way it is. The same way we lost Kwame Nkrumah, the same way we lost Dr. Buzia, the same way we lost Honorable Edward Akufo-Addo, the same way we lost all of them. Hilary Liman, and
all of them.
Same way.
But it's just a reminder, listen, you're not here for long, and so live in your purpose, find it and live in it and achieve whatever it is you have to achieve, because the next day you might just be gone and that voice will be no more. Do your very best now. Do your best and stay true to who you are. Komla Adum is joining us from the Accra International Conference Center. Komla, good morning. Hello, Komla.
Hello, Johnny. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Well, what can you share? We can see the people filing in to file past the mortal remains of the former president. But what can you share?
Well, Johnny, if you get to the Accra International Conference Center, it is a somber mood, as you see from the pictures. A short time ago, we had some of the executives of the National Democratic Congress, Anita DeSoso, and the former Transport Minister, Jifa Ativo, just filed past the mortal remains of a former president, Flight Lieutenant Jerry Rawlings. And that's been what's been happening all morning. Hordes of individuals, private individuals, public figures, political party representatives, they've been filing past in their numbers. A short time ago, Johnny, the former finance minister, said Tekbe was here to pay his last respects. Now, he described the late former president as a principled man, a man who led the way for some of them in many respects in the political space. And so they will remember him fondly for many of the values he instilled in them as politicians, even before they came into government. So that's former finance minister said Tekbe. There are other individuals who are showing up in their numbers. I also see from where I stand the voter caucus of the NDC.
Right.
Let me just get closer. Jifa Ativo is leading them in some singing. So you see the Jifa Ativo leading them.
Right.
Some solemn songs. Right after fighting past the remains of the former president.
Hello, Kamala. Hello, Kamala.
And you can see one of the women is unable to even put herself together. She's broken. She's weeping here. And you find a lot of that, especially those who the mortal remains of the former president. So, Johnny, it's been somber. It's been humbling. You see people, once they emerge from the foul past, you see them shedding tears, barely able to hold their emotions together. And that's been the situation here all morning at the Accra International Conference Center.
Okay, I see a deliberate effort to get COVID-19 protocol strictly adhered to. But what you just showed me, are people singing, even though they're expressing their sorrow, they were crammed up or masked up again. What does the COVID-19 protocol schedule look like at the event center?
I don't know if I heard you right. Are you asking about the protocol?
That's right. I'm asking about COVID-19 protocols.
Well, it's a bit noisy out here. I think a dignitary is arriving, and the noise from the siren is making it difficult for me to hear you. But if you're asking about the protocols here, when you get to the entrance here of the International Conference Center, you find dispenser booths that are here, diffusers, I'm told. They are also here, plus sanitizers that people are being mandatorily asked to use when they get here. So you see what here, when they get here, you are asked or directed to use the sanitizer, even after going through the diffuser booth at the other end. And so if you ask me about protocols, it's been strict, especially the stewards here are ensuring that any individual who gets off a bus or gets off a car and arrives here is mandatorily asked to use the sanitizer. And without a mask, of course, you cannot enter the foyer where the foul pass is happening. I saw a short time ago, Johnny, someone was in a queue. He was wearing only a face shield. He was asked to go back and get a mask beneath the shield before he's allowed entry to go and foul pass. So when he talks about protocols, there's an attempt to enforce the protocols here strictly.
I see. Kamala, will come to you for some more later, but thank you very much for the update thus far. That's Kingsley Kamala Adom. He's a man at the Accra International Conference Center. And the concern that's been raised by Senior Hosi and a couple of others that we do not turn this into another super spreader event because of the circumstances under which the former president himself died. Reports that he died from COVID, and so concerns are that we cannot be burying somebody who had died of a situation and then people getting that. He has appealed to the president to, if you like, restrict the numbers. But hey.
Well, I guess
it looks like we like our ceremonies.
Well, and that's also probably why the COVID-19 protocols are very strict, as you can see. There was a limit as to who could attend the mass yesterday.
Yeah.
And I could tell that there was quite a limit as to who could attend, the evening event, the vigil.
The vigil as well.
And so maybe for some of these events, they might limit the number of people. But to pay your last respects, as long as they go through the COVID-19 protocols, I'm sure that they can find a way to also, ensure social distancing.
The temptation to mass up and sing, like we saw.
Like we saw earlier, yes.
It's also there. I mean, it's typical of our culture and tradition that when we have marriage ceremonies, funerals, and we have naming ceremonies, which are the 3 key points in every African's life, we tend to, oil our ceremonies with songs and words of songs, and so the temptation is there. But as much as possible, please let's resist the temptation to gather. That will be defeatist on our part. That we're trying to lay somebody to rest, and then people may we are not saying that COVID is hovering around it, but COVID is everywhere. So we have to be very, very careful at some point. And you can tell the cortege now, the naval officers are back. So the naval officers are wearing the white hats over the black uniforms.
Okay.
The army is wearing the khaki with the black armband, and then the Air Force would do their blue, black, dark color. So that's what you have there. More folks are arriving, and
going to pay the last.
If you are not in Accra and you cannot get to the Accra International Conference Center, we will bring you everything. So don't beat yourself. Just share a prayer and a kind thought with the family on our social media platform. And we will read it to the rest of the world.
Absolutely. I mean, there are times when he made us laugh and smile as well. And I just saw a tweet on social media. By the way, you can just go on the TV3 Ghana page and also share with us your fondest memories of the late former president, Jerry John Rawlings. And so that's a question that we pose. Remember, the hashtag is TV3GH or TV3 New Day. And there was someone who said that he once responded to a certain Queen Mother from Kumasi when she asked government to revamp the Kumasi shoe factory. And he said, when you people stop eating willy, you can have enough leather to manufacture shoes.
Wow.
And
so that's a changeover being done now.
Okay.
So one of them will leave, and then the other will stay. So for this shot, you see the one with the white hat, that's a naval officer. He will leave, and then the other gentleman in the uniform, the blue, suppose that's Air Force, will take over. Yes.
So this is done every hour? Because
it depends on their own arrangements.
Okay, because we've seen about 3 changes.
Minutes,
okay.
It could be 1 hour, it could be 2 hours, depending on what it is. So the team has done the swap, they're leaving, and then they have come to leave us. You have them do this throughout while the body is there. You have them do it throughout while the body is there.
At least the change is happening maybe after every 1 hour, because I thought there was going to be one person standing in the same position for a number of hours before they swap.
Well, it depends. It depends on the arrangements that the Ghana forces have put in place.
Because that would be tiring.
Well, it is. It's part of the discipline. It is determined, how it should be done and who must do it. So the team will be there. So the team that just came are going to take a quick rest. So there could be 4 or 5 teams. So one comes, 2 swaps, 3 swaps, 4 swaps. Then it starts again.
Okay.
It starts again. So you get some rest, and then
because
you need your capacity to be able to stand. As part of the cortege.
And this is not just for dignitaries.
So that is the NDC's team. I've seen Peter Tokuno just in the red beret, it's gone by.
Okay, yeah.
Some other executive, so I think that's Adekoka, the chairman of chairmen, as he likes to be called. Greater Accra Regional Chairman of the NDC.
Also,
and they're
past
paying
and
their
some-
last respects.
Yeah, and again, I was just saying that this will not just be for dignitaries. We also have the public given the opportunity to also go and pay their last respect. But when you go there, please make sure that you adhere to the COVID-19 protocols and don't get yourself into trouble whilst trying to pay your last respect. But you're given that opportunity to go ahead and do so. You have only till 6 p.m. to do so, because from tomorrow we'll only have the president, the vice president and their spouses and other former presidents and other dignitaries filing past. The public will not be given that opportunity to do so tomorrow. So if you have the time and if you would want to file past, then you only have up till 6 p.m. today. So please do not forget that. But again, yes, I've just seen Mr. Siedu in Ketia, General Mosquito also just filed past, and we're seeing some NDC officials, and yes, you can see them on your screen right now, also going through the COVID-19 protocols. This is after they filed past him. But of course, this is their father, because he is literally the founder of the NDC, and so it's just right that they go ahead and also pay their respect,
Right.
and they're the ones you're seeing right now.
And I like the way the arrangements have been made at the Accra International Conference Center. You come through one end, you file past the body, and you go, you exit through another end.
Yeah.
So you don't have people clashing at one entrance. It's a good thing that's there. I see that there's also abundant supply of hand sanitizers.
sanitizers,
You
yes.
know, positioned all along. So people, as much as possible, will then. That's Dr. Zaneto Ajiman Rawlings. That's the first fruit of the Rawlings, their union. Quite exciting. Reading Nana Konidu Ajiman Rawlings' book. Maybe one day I should pass it on to Reverend Father Atopi to read. But she said that her parents were not in support of the marriage, and Madame Agbotui was also not too excited about her, being together. Sometimes she would be in the kitchen cooking. And by the way, Madame Agbotui, who's going to be with the Lord, was the one in charge of the kitchen at the castle when President Rawlings was there. And you would be cooking, and then she would come and say, "What are you cooking for my son? What is this? What?" So they had a long bout of rivalry, but eventually they became very, very good friends, and that's the beauty of life and all of that. I can imagine what's running through their minds at this point.
I can imagine.
May they be comforted.
But at least knowing that he's also finding comfort with his mother, his late mother as well.
Yeah.
That should definitely be calming to think about. But more people filing past, and we're showing you all those pictures live from the Accra International Conference Center, day 2 of the final funeral rites of the late former president. We've seen the NDC officials file past earlier. We saw Mr. Siedu Ketia, who is the General Secretary of the NDC, along with his executives. We saw all of them go through the process, and we're expecting a lot more from the other parties as well, and a lot more people who probably had the opportunity to work with him, whether closely or from far. Yeah.
So this is a man, and for me, I'd like us to look at the brighter side of his life. The brighter side of his life, a go-getter, a visionary, disciplined, and somebody who would draw others closer to achieve a bigger purpose. For me, I think that these were some of the things that made him excel in many different fronts, not looking down on people. Mr. Kujuyanka, a board chairman for Media General as well, has a book on President Rawlings. He actually did a musical drama as well, produced I think last year or the year before that. And he was at the time with the Graphic Communications Group Limited, and he was seeking to interview him. He said one time he went to him and he says, "Well, let's sit in my car and let's drive around." And they went to buy chichinga. It's in the book somewhere. And at the time, Mr. Rawlings used to smoke, cigarettes. So he smoked a few, but I mean, literally, he was in his bedroom and taking you everywhere because he doesn't have time to sit down with you and be pouring out every information. So he will travel through the day with you. He's going to buy his famous Yoka Gari and you are there, he's sharing with you, and you'll be taking copious notes.
Yeah.
You know, and for me, I think that it showed a man who was restless until what he wanted done would have been done. You know, there was no time to rest if what he had set out to do had not been completed. You know, maybe we should, as a nation, start learning from that and be more focused and not change our mind at every 2 steps of the way. You know, 2 steps we are changing our minds.
We're allowed to.
We're allowed to change our minds. But I mean, drawing inspiration from what Dr. Dujemfi and Dr. Tutu Boahin said, they are trained teachers, they are university professors, and suggesting to us that, look, we have not been consistent, especially with our educational system. That's terrible, because if we don't get the education right, it's not constant, then you find that we are actually just training people who have certificates but do not have real employable skills. And that's where the problem is. So they'll complete their school and still go around looking for jobs from people they could have created jobs for to come and apply. We need to look at it very well. I miss those days where you had technical drawing, technical skills. I still can bake sponge cake. I learned that in GSS 2. I still can bake it.
I don't know how technical drawing helped me, and I must say the truth, honestly, because I didn't enjoy having to draw front elevation and all those
rear
things.
elevation.
It was quite a difficult thing for me. I won't lie. Yeah, I mean, I look back now and I'm like, okay, I'm supposed to be talking about maybe politics. What do I use front elevation
so the person,
for?
So the person who went on to do maybe draftsmanship or did architecture,
it will benefit that person.
So the concept of the JSS thing, like Jerry Rawlings envisaged, if I want to be a caterer, I want to go and do home economics at secondary school level and go to the university or poly and go and do it. I will come to the table with some bit of knowledge. Okay, 1 part of flour, half part of butter or margarine, this, that. I know the measurements already. And I could actually have done some small biscuit stuff during the holidays and so to have made money. Now it's all about chew, pour, pass, forget. Write, text. And I'm happy that we're waking up to that dream of bringing back TVET. Because the washrooms that we used at Kaneshi Anglican JSS, we constructed it ourselves. And it was part of our assessment.
I see.
So a group of 4 or 5 boys would have to lay block about 3 or so. You had the trowel, you had the rod, you had the line, you had the, the head pan, you had the shovel. They were all there. And we would buy cement and do it. Then the other 3 will come and do. Mr. Sam will come and adjust it. And that was what we did, even though it didn't have a roof. It was the Nippon Seshi kind of washroom.
I thought it was quite unfair to judge us all equally based on subjects that we necessarily didn't have an interest in. Because I thought it would have been right if they identified our interest early, you know, in our education and probably hit more on that instead of the general, you know, assessment.
It makes sense.
It was a tough one for me.
It makes sense. It makes sense. It makes sense, you know, to have begun the specialization early. But then a foundation for everybody.
Which is fine.
So that as at JSS 1, I had seen what a beaker looked like. I knew what a test tube looked like. I knew what a conical flask looked like. So when I got to secondary school and I was in my chemistry class, it didn't appear new to me.
Because you did chemistry. What about if I was in a literature class?
Well, then whatever it was that the extra reading time, if your school had a decent library, it will appeal to you.
You see?
So everybody will find their niche.
Your school had a decent library.
But why don't we have the libraries?
We'll be back, guys. Let's not shift away from the main topic of discussion. And yes, we are mourning the death of the late former President Jerry John Rawlings. We'll be back with some more.
Mamo official, as I say, Ebusu say, get a litigation-free land today. Regular Properties is giving away 50% discount on all their lands. I have 4 Shires was 30,000, but now 15,000. Asalaja was 30,000, but now 15,000. Ewutu Breku was 10,000, but now with just 5,000. Dodowa was 60,000, but now 30,000. The good news is when you make a deposit, you get 100 pieces of blocks free. There is a tiled road to the site. Free site visiting every Saturday. Our sites are properly demarcated. There is electricity available, and our lands are fully registered and documented. Contact us now. Regnum Properties wishes you a Merry Christmas and a prosperous New Year.
Make you start off the year by stepping up with DSTV.
Things are about to get great.
Whoa, okay.
And that's important because
DSTV, they come give you more of the entertainment you and your family they like. So fasten your seatbelt. As DSTV take you go higher with more epic live soccer, exciting local drama, and best kids show.
That's a lot. Yo.
My people, all you for do be say, starting from 14th January to 31st March, upgrade your current DSTV package to the next one, and DSTV will bump you up to the one above that at no extra cost. It be that simple.
What?
Come on.
Oh, exciting. Okay.
For example, let's say you have family. All you have to do is pay for Compact, and DSTV will give you Compact Plus at no extra cost.
This is a lot.
Yeah. Follow us with the hashtag DSTV Step Up for more, or call us on 0302-740-540. Terms and conditions apply.
You know that in Ghana, an average 70 cars are snatched every quarter.
Hello, babe. What? Your car snatched? Don't worry, Jetty K GPS got us covered.
Vehicle GPS tracker technology can provide information on the exact location of your vehicle at all times on your phone. Count on Jatike for all your security needs: CCTV, biometric attendance and access control, home and vehicle alarms, electric fence. Talk to us on 0244 211 691 or 0208 800 115. Jatike Security. Be security smart.
Tiger completes one of the greatest comebacks in Masters history. Oh, Durant throws it down. Oh, that's... To get the shot on. He's put it again.
Sports Station shows Mondays at 9 p.m. Brought to you by Betway.
A young cop and his fiancée realizing their lifelong dream together. The daughter of a tycoon, about to launch her dream career, celebrates her birthday with her father. But then, the unexpected happens. The tycoon and the cop's fiancée, framed as lovers. A strange twist of fate brings two opposite worlds together. A series of mysteries will lead them on a road to unravel a web of lies. A breathtaking story of deception, treason, and dark family secrets. Missing diamonds are the clue to surprising revelations. And romance will help them survive. Black Money Love.
Black Money Love premieres Monday 25th January at 8 p.m. and shows Monday to Thursday at 8 p.m. only on TV3.
Hello, Ghana. It's another season of brain power, nerve-wracking and spine-tingling action on Season 2 of National Juniors Challenge, which among these 36 schools across 7 regions of Ghana would be crowned champion of this year's edition of National Juniors Challenge. Join us on TV3 as we witness these schools exhibit their mental prowess on this educative and entertaining quiz program. National Juniors Challenge, developing intellectuals. This program is powered by Uniwis Foundation with sponsorship from Best Western Premier Hotel, Bayport Savings and Loans, Bright Schools, Isons, Institute of ICT Professional Ghana, Prospectus Ghana Limited,
MJC Foods, Anasco Skills and Digicom Engineering Limited, Extra Class.
Supported by
The National Juniors Challenge shows every Saturday at 2 p.m. on TV3.
Okay, so flags are flying at half-mast now, and we're mourning former president, the first fruits of the Fourth Republic. Earlier, we had a full week of mourning, but this is in a run-up to his burial, second day of the 4 days, Bella.
Yeah, indeed. And as we also remember his legacies, let's make it a little light. Let's remember some of the fun stuff or the fun moments that he shared with us before his demise. Take a look.
Ladies and gentlemen, December 7th, protect your ballot boxes the way you will protect and defend your freedom can sometimes come at a cost. Justice will come at a cost.
What we've been embarking on over the last few years for us are just as important today as they were in the past. And we will be pursuing the same policies. And I can only hope that those who are opposed to us will wake up to the reality that, look, I mean, we have good intentions for this country, and they've always been welcome, and they will always be welcome to join in the development of the nation.
By collective effort, that the nation's problems can be solved.
I've wanted to fly from the age of 6. Honest. I was standing next to my mother, you know, in a compound house when the young man also in the house, you know, asked me what I'd like to be when I grew up. And I said, I'd like to be a pilot. And bang, my mother slapped me on the back. Oh, yes, yes. You'll be a doctor. You'll be a scientist. I mean, the whole house, the compound became quiet, shocked at what had just happened. I never gave up my dream. When you consider, the difficulties, the shock effect that June 4th should have had on us, should have woken us up. And I do remember, to be quite honest, in those volatile, violent, difficult days when people were calling for let the blood flow, etc., there were some intellectuals and some diplomats who, I guess, have a better knowledge of history, who were asking me that I was exercising too much control. I was restraining it too much.
My colleague, ministers of state, honorable lecturers of the various faculties, your excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I think I prefer the lady. I prefer the lady. I mean, this little warm food you want to enjoy, you want to come and
not because I wanted to be chairman, to be head of state, but it was just my passion to see justice done, my love of freedom. That's what puts me always in this position, or put me in this position. Pope John Paul described capitalism, the capitalist economic philosophy, as the savagery of capitalism. What are you going to say about us in the so-called developing world, in Africa? There was a time I wanted to be a priest, Yeah.
How are you? I'm going to take you together with a flower. Oh.
You may not believe it, but I'd much rather be known as an artist than as a president. Just as I would much rather probably be known for flying skill than being a president. Maybe it's because through this you can see my power of observation, my sense of precision, my striving for excellence. I don't know where you found this, but the point is, I've kept quiet about this thing because I haven't done my wife's portrait yet, If I'd done my wife's portrait also, I would have felt good about, displaying this. Nana, in the first place, was somebody I noticed from the age of 14, somebody I've been in love with. It wasn't until about 5-6 years later that she would even allow me to hold her hands, type of thing. Oh, it took a long time. I avoided my daughters, for some years. I mean, I'd see them, but I did not want to develop any emotional attachment with them. I mean, I longed for it. I wanted to hug them and things like that, but I was afraid if we developed that emotional attachment and something happened, you know, I wasn't too sure how they would be able to cope or handle it. And that's why I kept that distance, you see what I mean? Deliberately, because of what I said. In being stubborn, mind you, while I was in high office as chairman of the PNDC within the revolution or head of state, my stubbornness did not translate itself into stopping our people from doing something that I felt would hurt us. One would sometimes allow it in order not to break the growing confidence in our people. They sometimes needed to make a mistake. My stubbornness did not stand in the way. People like to make all kinds of claims about Rawlings, that he didn't want to hand over. Absolute rubbish. I will use this occasion to tell them something that they never imagined. Had we, any one of us, dared to suggest that we had done my wife's portrait also, I would have felt good about, you know, displaying this. Nana, in the first place, was somebody I noticed from the age of 14, somebody I've been in love with. It wasn't until about 5, 6 years later that I could even, she would even allow me to hold her hands type of thing. Oh, it took a long time. I avoided my daughters, you know, for some years. I mean, I'd see them, but I did not want to develop any emotional attachment with them. I mean, I longed for it. I wanted to hug them and things like that, but I was afraid if we developed that emotional attachment and something happened, you know, I wasn't too sure how they would be able to cope or handle it. And that's why.
And that's the man in your shot right there, former president of the Republic of Ghana, the Fourth Republic. And up until now, you know, how he transitioned from being a military leader to the boss, the chairman of the Provisional National Defense Council, transitioned to, you know, constitutional rule. And many people were scared that, you know, at the close of year 2000, he was not going to hand over power to President Kufuor, you know, and it's something that President Kufuor himself holds, you know, very dear and high esteem to him.
I remember there was an interview where he said that the people were not going to forgive him if he had not handed over power to him. And the fact that he was the one in charge when the 92 Constitution was, you know, being done. And so how then do I now come and say that even though I was the one who gave way for the Constitution, I will not go by it? That would have been wrong on many levels. And so he had every reason to be accountable to the same people that, you know, he drew up a Constitution for. And it's great that he eventually let go of it. It came with a number of issues regardless, but it's good that he let go allowed, you know,
for me,
to lead.
One thing that he always says, you know, like you just mentioned, the people, the people. It was under President Rawlings that when Mr. Yanka, our board chairman, was the editor of the Daily Graphic, they renamed it the People's Daily Graphic. For him, it's always about the people, about the people. And for me, that's good. So there's another changeover happening right there. We're going to see a lot of that changeover. We call it the cortege, and there's a military terminology for it. The military. So the ex-president is getting 4 military honors. God willing, tomorrow, Thursday, that is it. Wednesday, I must say, that's
Wednesday,
it.
Yes,
you're going to see the casket on a gun carriage. And to suggest that this is a big man that is gone, a general that is gone. And that's reserved only for generals or people of very, very high repute within the army circles, the gun carriage, yes. And he's going to get that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He deserves every bit of it. I
Yeah.
mean, this is tough.
It is tough, but we'll connect with Komla Dum again. He is at the Accra International Conference Center. That's the official funeral grounds for a 4-day mourning, and obviously by Wednesday, about 9-10 a.m., the funeral service will start. The religious activities will be done. The family will do their rites, and then once they are done, the military will take over again and do the march, to the cemetery to go and lay him to rest. We'll have the 21-gun salute, which is a given for people like him, and all the others that will come along with it. And so far, we've seen the NDC's delegation there. We're yet to see the NPP's delegation though.
Yes.
But yesterday, I must mention that the President of the Republic, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, with his wife, the First Lady, Rebecca Akufo-Addo, the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, with his spouse, were there. As well, I saw Speaker of Parliament, Right Honourable Alban Sumana Case of Bagbin was there. I saw Honourable Haruna Idrisu. I saw the Deputy Speaker of Parliament, MP for Menai Siama. We saw also some stalwarts of the NPP there as well. Johnson Asiedu Nketia was there. Yeah, so quite exciting. Well, Bella, what are we seeing?
Well, Jerry John Rawlings' presidency was one of many firsts. He was the first president of the Fourth Republic. He was the first to win and run a successful second term, and the very first in the country's political history to peacefully hand over power.
Rawlings established the National Commission on Democracy, NDC, shortly after the 1982 coup. In March 1991, the NCD released a report recommending the election of an executive president, the establishment of a National Assembly, and the creation of a Prime Minister post. That recommendation led to the drafting of a new constitution based on past Ghanaian constitutions and the lifting of the ban on political parties in May 1992. Rawlings, who had initially resisted multi-party politics, led the newly formed NDC, which was a product of the PNDC, into the 1993 elections. On November 3, 1992, election results compiled by the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, from 200 constituencies declared J.J. Rawlings as the winner. He and his National Democratic Congress won 60% of the votes and an overwhelming parliamentary majority. The parliamentary elections was boycotted by the opposition parties. NDC candidates won 189 of the 200 seats and essentially established a one-party parliament. Rawlings took over on 7th January 1993, the same day that the new constitution came into effect, and the government became known as the Fourth Republic of Ghana. Given the various issues with the 1992 elections, the 1996 election was a great improvement. The next elections were held in December 1996, and this marked a milestone in the fledgling democracy in Ghana. Rawlings won that election by 57%.
Okay, so that was the first of Jerry Rawlings telling you what he had done. Yes, and Komla Dum standing by now at the Accra International Conference Center. Hello, Komla. Komla Dum will join us shortly to give us some live images from the Accra International Conference
But
Center.
I mean, the fact that we're talking about the NCD and the fact that he also allowed Ghanaians to decide, you know, whether they want to vote for a president or not, and that's actually a lot. That says a lot about the man that we are eulogizing today. But let's just cross over to Komla Adom now before we continue.
see in your picture right now are some of the dignitaries, public officials, heads and representatives of political parties, as well as some private individuals who are here at the Accra International Conference Center to pay their last respects to the late former president, Jerry John Rawlings, whose remains, I have to say, lay in state in the foyer of the conference center. A short time ago, we had a former organizer of the NDC, Yabwa Tinjan, who extolled the virtues of the late former president. Now he's been advising young politicians to emulate these virtues, especially the selflessness of the man who lay motionless in the foyer of the Accra International Conference Center. According to him, there are many lessons that one can learn from the life of Vice Lieutenant Jerry Rawlings. We also spoke to a former information minister who worked closely with Mr. Rawlings, Kofi Totobi Kwache. Now for him, it is unfair for individuals to be painting the late former president with a bad brush. According to him, he says, even though he was human like all of us, the good things about the man outweigh the negative things that some people may like to foist on him. And so on a day like this, he would rather be reflected on the good things and the good memories of the late former president and give him a befitting farewell rather than focusing on the negatives. And so you see behind me, which is the entrance and the exit to the foyer of a conference center where Flight Lieutenant Jerry Rawlings lays in state. Leadership of the NDC has been here. Chairman Samuel Ofosu-Ampofo, General Secretary Johnson Esiedun Ketia, Communications Officer Sami Jemfi, and others have been here to pay their respects to the man who founded their party. And let me just run by you some of the protocols that will greet you when you visit the conference center this minute. So you see stands of hand sanitizers, about 5 or 6 of them here. And then at the main entrance, you'd also be necessarily asked to go through the defumizer. And then after that, you use the hand sanitizer that are at vantage points here. So the protocols, as much as the state protocol has been able to put together, is extremely tight. And also, no individual is allowed to go through without using the sanitizer. I will be speaking to some of the people who are paying their last respects in a short time to understand what lessons they're learning from the life of the late former president and then what they can draw as we continue proceedings to get him a final resting place. And so that is what you see in your picture here at the Accra International Conference Center. You see lots of people who have just filed past coming out of the foyer of the International Conference Center. It's a very somber atmosphere, I have to tell you. For those of you who, and you can see one of the young ladies uncontrollably weeping and wailing after filing past the late former president, Jerry Rawlings. It's hard for these people, you can tell. Extremely hard for these people. They are barely holding themselves up. And that's been the scene and the mood here all day, all morning, if you ask me. There are few people who are able to man up and put their emotions together. There are others who absolutely are broken and have been unable to put themselves together at any point. And so that's what it's been. Former Finance Minister Seth Terkper was also here a short time ago. Now he says the late former president has left behind valuable principles that every politician, old or young, must emulate at this stage if they want to take their political careers to another level. He's also been saying that for the many years, more than a decade that he has worked with the late former President Rawlings, it's been one learning curve after the other. no time he has not picked valuable lessons from the man who lays motionless in here. And so I see many more people who are... thank you very much, Honorable Ifri Ankwa. It's a very hard time for all of us as Ghanaians. You are just returning from paying your respect to a man who for many, many years led this country and showed the way when it comes to political activity and democracy. What are some of the reflections?
This is a man who was true to himself and his principles right from the time he burst onto the scene till the time he died. This is an African leader, as is lying down here today. We cannot talk of any secret bank account anywhere. We cannot talk of chains of houses anywhere in Ghana or abroad. That is the level of integrity. For somebody to have been in power for all these years, 19 years, and yet he didn't grab and amass wealth for himself, but focused on the development of the people, development of the country, the empowerment of the people. I think it's a great example to all of us and to the up-and-coming generation who are into politics or who want to aspire to go into politics. Now, politics is about empowering your society, it's about giving back to your society, it's about using the natural resources of the society to develop the country, and not to a japa and all those deals that African leaders have been doing to the detriment of the population.
Some have described him as a tyrant in the ways in which he carried out some of the activities while he was in power. For you, as somebody who has worked with him, who has been under his tutelage for all these years, what would you say to critics of the man who laid them motionless?
You know, leadership evolved and emerged as a response to the conditions in the society. If you recall, when the first set of firing squads were being done, do you remember what happened? People were at the firing range, cheering. University students were saying what? Let the blood flow. People had written all over the country, let the blood flow. If I had it not been for his leadership strength, many more people would have died or would have been executed. So it was a response to the environment, to the extent that ordinarily, when somebody is going to be executed, normal people will be sad. But people were so fed up with the rot and the corruption and misgovernance in the society that they cheered when their compatriots were being shot. That is how low the country had sunk. And to his credit, the same man, after 11 years, now decides that let's go the route of democracy. And then he ushered in the Fourth Republic. And the same man, after 8 years, unlike his compatriots all over, Mugabe, Museveni, all of them that you know, when he decided, when he was in power, he had all the state apparatus, did not rig the election, but handed over peacefully. And that is why Ghana became a model of democracy. That is the legacy of the man we are talking about.
Finally, before I let you go, young politicians who are coming up, those who are even looking to have a career in politics, what are some of the key things they must learn from this man?
First of all, is the motive. Why do they want to come into politics? Do they want to come into politics because they want to amass wealth? They want to do deals like a japa and buy houses all over the place, both locally and abroad, for themselves, their family, or their girlfriends, or they want to come into politics to serve. Because Rawlings came into politics to serve the society. He used the state power, state resources, and state machinery to develop the country. Extension of water and electricity and other social amenities to the rural areas. Empowering the people, the consciousness, the awareness, probity, integrity, accountability. These are values that have come to stay. So when people are coming into politics, we must be sure of the motive that they are coming to serve and to use the state resources to help develop the nation and to help the ordinary people, not to amass wealth for themselves. That man lying there now, where are his houses? Where are his houses, both local and foreign? Where are his secret bank accounts? Nothing. After 19 years in power, today, some people, 4 years, look at how they have looked at this country.
So you had the Elvis Ifri Ankara. He is the Director of Elections of the NDC, former Youth and Sports Minister under the NDC government there speaking to us. He's just one of many individuals who are currently filing past and also paying their last respects to the man who lay in state in the foyer of the Accra International Conference Center. I've seen many dignitaries, many individuals, NDC leadership, executives of the party. I've also seen some of the former ministers of state and former appointees under the Rawlings administration. We've also seen some chief executive officers, some private individuals who have also been here to pay their last respects to the man many affectionately called